Cougar Sports Saturday.
It's complete. Another touchdown!
Cougar Sports Saturday. A presentation of KSL Sports.
Left wing for three. He got it again!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here are your hosts, Mitch Harper and Matt Baiamonte. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back into KSL News Radio. Cougar Sports Saturday coming to you from Denver, Colorado. Mitch Harper, Matt Baiamonte here in the Mile High City. We're getting you ready for BYU versus Wisconsin. We're a little under 4 hours away until tip-off between the Cougars and the Badgers. Only third meeting all time between these two programs. You got to go back to 2011 and 1931. Wow. It was before KSL was broadcasting BYU basketball games. So it's safe to say it's been a minute between limited history between these two programs. And a guy that has limited history in this tournament is Kevin Young. But what a splash he had in round number one as the head coach of the Cougars led BYU to a win over VCU. And I caught up with the head coach, the man, Kevin Young. And this is my conversation with Coach Young.
Coach, I got to ask you, when you were walking off the court, you got done with the TV interview, you went and embraced your family. Just what was running through your mind in that moment?
Just happy that my family could be here to experience it. This is such a, I've talked about this before, but just such a marquee, sporting event that I grew up just enamored with. I'm one of 6 kids. I got 4 brothers, and most of them are here. So just, now to be a part of it, an experience with my family. Now my kids and my wife being able to be a part of it. I mean, they've quickly understood how much more cutthroat, the college games are, especially this tournament, and they've enjoyed that.
How fun has that been it's been cool to see like your son at events and just your family and to share this experience with them? Yeah,
it's been invaluable, honestly. Just even last night and this morning, just watching film, of Wisconsin. My older son, he calls himself my film buddy. He's over my shoulder, checking things out, and it's really cool, man. As a dad, it's just fun to have them be able to be a part of it.
Coach Gard said, in regards to Wisconsin and BYU, he says he sees a lot of similarities between the two teams. Your thoughts on any similarities maybe between BYU and Wisconsin?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're both they're really organized on offense. I think one of the most I've seen on tape. We try to be organized. We're different. I mean, they're a lot more continuity-based than we are. But I think, we both like to, play 5-out space, obviously shoot the ball from the outside. There's some similarities, but it could be a high-paced game from that standpoint. But, we're locked in on the defensive end. We want to be able to go out there and put a good game plan together for our guys. I mean, I think that's going to be the key to the game.
When you talk about game plan, can you speak to the maybe yeoman's work that this support staff and assistant coach has been doing this week to get everything ready? Because I don't know if fans have realized, I mean, you're busy with a lot of media things and all this stuff. It's a hectic week, the work that the support staff and assistant coaches are doing for these games.
Yeah, I mean, my staff's incredible, all the way from the GAs who put in a lot of work with the assistant coaches and the assistant coaches, working around the clock to get the scouts dialed in, get all the film ready. That's probably where I'm probably the most, high intensity in those moments, when I'm in the meeting room with the coaches. And so I demand a lot of them, and they've been a huge part of the game plans we put forth. And I think the players really understand how much work that we put into it. And I think that's really been something that the guys have been able to lean on because they know how much work we're putting in. They really trust our coaching staff. And, for me, that gives me a lot of, freedom to make sure I'm making rounds with the players and I'm making rounds with the media, doing the things I have to do, knowing that behind the scenes a lot of that stuff's getting done.
For folks that haven't maybe watched BYU as much, or people that have been watching BYU, they know that this team has been able to win in a variety of ways. But you guys kind of did it on a national stage against VCU. Just how much confidence does that give your team, you think, in this tournament, that it doesn't matter the style of the game, how it's played, you guys can come out on top?
I think that's what's great about the Big 12. You got every night it's going to be a good game. The competition level is so high and the coaching is so good. Different teams employ different strategies, and so I talk about this a lot. I mean, we have a lot of reference points. You get this deep into the season, it's like, okay, which I did yesterday. You know, I talked to our guys, hey, you know, against X, Y, or Z team, we had to do this because they were guarding us this way, or they're running a similar thing that this team guarded, and we guard it that way. And so our guys give them credit because they're smart enough to understand those references and rely back on, you know, what we did to be successful given whatever scheme or coverage we're facing.
That you brought up the continuity base piece with Wisconsin. Is there someone in the Big 12 that you have faced on this gauntlet that kind of reminds you of Wisconsin?
I mean, stylistically, they play a lot. Arizona, similar. You know, this ball screen continuity. I think these guys are a little bit more, you know, explosive. I would say at the wing and guard spot relative to, you know, their personnel, but style of play and just the stuff that they're running feels a lot like Arizona.
And wanted to ask you about Yegor Demin and the star power. It feels like his style of play, there's a flair to his game. I love that pump fake that he had early in the game to get, I think it was like 6'4", but just the flair that he has. He feels like he's almost built for this stage.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, I mean, he's a guy that's been playing at a super high level since he was 15 years old. You know, he's played in multiple, you know, international high-level competition and so forth. So I don't think the moment is too big for him. The thing I loved about him yesterday is just, you know, I had a lot of conversations with him after the Big 12 tournament just in terms of, you know, trying to key in for him, like what makes him good for us. And I thought that game yesterday he did a good job of playing within that, but still having, you know, his kind of freedom to make plays that he sees. But I thought that was one of the best games where I thought me and him were on the same page, and it clearly, you know, he was able to, you know, help us get the win.
And to follow up on that, how much have you enjoyed just communicating with college athletes, the different dynamic compared to pros? I feel like these guys seems like they've been pretty responsive watching these guys.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a credit to my staff too. You know, I'm a guy that's, you know, I'm not all over these guys. I give them a lot of space and a lot of freedom. You know, there's certain things that we, you know, demand. I think they understand what the non-negotiables are. But I have enjoyed just trying to show guys things based on my experience that can help, you know, make them better players. You know, I think the way that, you know, Richie's obviously probably the poster child for, like, the development, you know, with the most improved player, first team all Big 12 compared to where he was last year. So I get just as much reward out of that as I do winning a big game.
And then last couple things here for you, Coach. The potential of this team making a run. You've always talked about hearing from you that play your best basketball in March. Do you feel like they are playing their best basketball right now, or is there still maybe another level or two to this team?
I definitely think there's another level or two. I mean, you know, we had moments against VCU. Offensively, I think we left more to be desired, honestly. But look, man, you just want to win and move on. You know, as they say here, win, you know, survive and advance. But you know, for us, I think I think our guys do a really good job of just focusing on whatever the task at hand is. And I say this all the time, but every game has a life of its own. You got to the sooner you can figure out what that is in the game, the better. And you know, Wisconsin's a team that, you know, they'll do some things that we'll have to figure out on the fly. But you know, I think the planning that we've had coming into this game will allow us to make those needed adjustments as the game's going on.
Do you love the magnitude and pressure that comes with these games?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, as a competitor, man, it's why you compete. It's why you play. There's nothing like it. You can't mimic it. You can't mimic the feeling you get leading up to a big game, especially ones of this magnitude. I love it.
And that's BYU basketball head coach Kevin Young here on KSL News Radio. Great stuff from Coach Young. And I got to say, he brings a confidence, as the kids say, an aura to BYU basketball that I just haven't experienced and seen from BYU hoops in the postseason. They believe, folks, and they feel like they can get it done and go on a run in this tournament. What a great opportunity in front of them today. 5:45 p.m. tip, BYU and Wisconsin, which you can only hear on 102.7 FM and 1160 AM, only over the air only. So keep in mind on that. But we got to take a timeout. On the other side, you'll hear from BYU guard Trevin Knell. He had some great insight into this matchup and the vibes for him as his final season at BYU hopefully doesn't come to a close today, but he's looking to extend it as far as he can here in the NCAA tournament. It's Cougar Sports Saturday from Denver here on KSL News Radio.